these things made me serious to take up this issue. Now, I began to feel we need a sort of third-party endorsement for a politician to take up a question in Parliament. And for me, of course, one knows a lot about Pentagon and so on and so forth. But those things, unless U.S. government admits something, or U.S. government says, yes, we want further investigation to happen, you can go on, argues. But you can never prove that they were wrong. But I thought that those allegations or speeches on televisions and the newspapers, you can never argue. If someone said it's his responsibility, the chairman of Bundesbank or a former Minister of Environment, Mr. Micha, and if some aviation officials say it's their responsibility, so no one can argue in a sense. So I thought that these documents or allegations can be used as sort of third-party endorsement. So therefore, I prepared some translations of those speeches and to be ready for the questions to the Prime Minister and other cabinet ministers in January. I also draw your attention to this book. It's in Japanese. It says that thorough research on the collapse of World Trade Centers. And this was written by a Japanese living in Barcelona in Spain, so I would like your Spanish friends to get in touch with him. But this book collected more than 200 films and DVDs to try to find out what actually happened. Maybe I let you see those pictures just circulate. And these things made me feel that I should do something about the 9/11, and I took courage to ask questions to the Prime Minister. And one good thing on that day, on January the 10th, was that for certain deliberations in the Parliament, our national television, NHK as we call, televised our questions to the Prime Minister and others. So it was televised by nationwide sort of television. Therefore, I think you are able to see what I did. And for the national television coverage and so on, we are able to use the panels of the pictures. And I chose in consultation with Yumi Kikuchi and others, most or easiest sort of pictures to be shown for the public to understand, for those who didn't know anything about the 9/11. So I chose some pictures of Pentagon and World Trade Center and number 7, and those 7 pictures, enlarged pictures, to be displayed. But in the committee room, as you saw Prime Minister looking at some documents, and those documents are the Japanese translations of Chairman of Bundesbank, Mr. Micha, and others, including the U.S. politicians, Ron Paul, the Republican candidate for president, and what is his name? Democratic candidate for president.
Kucinich.
Yes.
Kucinich.
Yes. And also the speech by Mr. Jones, and so on. So to give some good sort of credibility of the balance of the people. And I also made translations of various opinion polls by CNN and others, I think you know. So this also can give the third-party endorsement. And you can never argue about the results of the opinion polls. And you cannot sort of argue about what those people have said, because they did by their own responsibilities. So if you remember, Prime Minister and others looked very serious. And usually for this kind of thing, the politicians in the ruling party, I am from the main opposition, Democratic Party of Japan, And the government is run by Liberal Democratic Party for the last 5 decades. So usually for this kind of controversial issue, potentially, the government party politicians could hit back. But if you look at it, the video of the 10th of January, they were very quiet. Because I gave those documents. They were looking at it. And just, this is going to be off the record. I happened to have some conversation with one leading politician in Japan a few years ago. And he was saying that they, I suppose government, had found various things very doubtful. And therefore, they doubted the official versions of US government. But if you went further, it can touch a tale of Bush family. So they wouldn't go further. Please, off the record. And I happened to have a conversation with someone in charge of information of Defense Ministry of Japan. He also was saying that something involvement of US was there. And he was saying that he was receiving this kind of information through French, regular intelligence network sort of information. You sort of buy or you can subscribe to very expensive intelligence network, Britain or something like that. So these are the two things just off the record I happen to know. Therefore, I was convinced that I could raise up this question. And therefore, towards the end of the meeting in the Diet, Parliament, I asked the Prime Minister, I have some rumor that you knew something wrong about the 9/11s. Weren't you saying something like that a few years ago? Then he replied by saying, no, I never said that.